Hello everyone, welcome to Stinkfest 2024, sponsored by Cornflakes.
Die, blood, for the blood god, yes!
Cornflakes. If you don't know what Stinkfest is, it's a celebration of Nurgle, where the Chaos God uses a great unclean one to invade the mortal realms for nefarious plagues and happiness, to endlessly perpetuate the cycle of life and death. And this time, it's the 224th time. For our host, we have none other than Kugath Plaguefather. Kugath is one of, if not the premier Great Unclean One, the Plaguefather himself. He's one of Nurgle's most experimental Great Unclean Ones. Originally starting as a Nurgling that fell from the loving shoulder of the Master of Plagues and Pestilence into the Cauldron of Nurgle, where he ate his way out from the greatest brew Nurgle ever made, turning him from a cute Nurgling into a handsome Great Unclean One. Ever since then, he's been trying to make a plague to make Grandfather Nurgle happy. So join us, Warhammer fans that are probably as stinky as we are.
Alright, so the first one we're getting into is personal hygiene. Now, I know we've all experienced it some way or another, of where we met someone or we know of someone who doesn't put on their deodorant or they forgot to shower.
This is like one of my favorite videos of all time. Kugath isn't known for being as joyous as his brothers, being more worried about plague brewing than he is about connections with his friends and other followers of Nurgle. He doesn't even like music. So to help him out, we got him an advisor. Him.
Hello, chat. How are you doing today?
This group of island is where Kugath's staging ground will start off for the festivities. These islands feature the Lizardmen fighting chaos like they were supposed to during the end times, instead of screwing off to launch off in their pyramids that are spaceships and fighting Skaven. Doesn't matter anything to Kugath though, because Kugath in this first turn will fight 2 battles, taking a settlement and taking out an army, using an advantage that the lizards don't have that define how you play them. So Stinkfest goers,
It'd be stinking. It'd be smelling real bad.
sit down and get ready for a lesson. This is how you play Kugath on any normal field battle, you have in Stinkfest or not, and it will go like this. Set up your army to be at the most advantageous position possible. For the most part, this is the furthest away and highest up you can get from the enemy army. This is to make it so you can get buffs like fighting uphill, and having things like the other enemies be kind of tired because they just had to run all the way towards you. But how do you make them run towards you? Great question. Because it's not hard of that feat, because Kugath has a trick up his sleeve. Well, actually his lower intestine mouth thingy. Kugath acts like a defensive powerhouse that Great Unclean One should be. He does a little bit of everything defensive. Range like artillery.
They're just...
Oh, is he just humming shit?
yeah, dude. He's picking
Yeah,
it.
he's just fucking humming pool.
yeah. Look at him.
You know it. A high health pool? You betcha. Terror radius? Mm-hmm. And he's a wizard. But early game, extremely long range attacks are broken, mainly because you can antagonize the enemy from larger ranges, goading them and making them have to run over to you for fisticuffs. And luckily, units being hit by Kugath are slowed, making them very vulnerable to more hits. And when they rush to their front line, where Kugath should be when they finally do get there, they'll take giant damage from everything and be poisoned, while Kugath terrorizes them, making them lose morale, and gives leadership to his units for being a warlord, making the enemy break on Stinkfest's gangrenous, horribly disfigured bodies. 2 simple tricks that the Order alliances don't want you to know about. Go ahead and go for the leader first to break the morale of the enemy armies, making them rout even faster, and use those delectable spells, dog, especially the Brap attack, to level some units, dealing large amounts of damage every time it comes up, especially if you can hit units that have a lot of men in it, that have low health.
That means that these guys are all grouped up.
Oh. Just remember that spreading the stink, for the most part, is done the most effectively when you're right up in someone's face, mainly because you don't have the luxury of range besides Kugath and a Soul Grinder and maybe some Plague Drones. Archer units are nowhere to be seen inside of the armies of Nurgle. Instead, later units have short-ranged options, and those units are ones you usually get around turn 30 or 40. So for the most part, Stinkfest is going to be a melee endeavor. So start off the party crazy style by doing this twice in one turn, taking out the Lizardman army near you and then the settlement. Also, you can get up to some mischief, because turn 2 you'll try to go to the capital of the province. Try to amass troops and get as many plague bearers as possible. The tech tree is up to you and to your discretion, but I like going for the buffs on Nurglings, just because you're gonna use Nurglings a lot, and it makes them more jolly for Stinkfest! And sure, Plague Bearers might be more costly and less plentiful than Nurglings, but hear me out. In city battles, Nurglings don't do well. You know these wall things that everyone talks about and they have around their settlements? They can't climb them. They would just have to hit a gate, and they really suck at hitting gates. So you gotta get those plague bears to climb the wall and come down to get the gate open. And after a short trip to the last settlement, we have the first full province under our command. If you're good at this economy thing and party planning, you'll have basic military buildings up of your choice. Plague Flesh Poppies are better for early game, but the Alloy gives you the Soul Grinder. I like going for the Soul Grinder, just for the fact that you get a Soul Grinder earlier if you get this one. Great idea. And plus you can get some infrastructure up to help those military buildings out, while also getting Nurglings passively. And has Kugas Advisor done that? Maybe? But then, almost as if planned by Siege himself, tragedy struck. At turn 8, 220 stack armies at Kugas' doorstep. Oh no! Seriously, this game has a hate for the player. So if you move up too fast, you are put into an unwinnable situation because of how fast the AI can make armies. And these armies usually have really good unit composition that outpace you at every single turn, that can come and run over your armies and all other settlements. And even your troops that are in settlements and your armies can't take a 20 stack of vampire counts with another 20 stack behind it. And meanwhile, you're here with like 5 plague bearers, like 18 Nurglings, and some toads. This looks horrible. And it might be horrible, but I auto-saved, so it doesn't matter. You know, Furies, Plague Bees, Plague Drones, whatever. You just don't have what's good. So after a few attempts and failures, it's gonna be interesting. We've hit a bump. You know, at least, 5,000 skeletons. They're stupid, dumb leaders. There's only one thing you can do, because this was horrible for Stinkfest. It was like Astra World. One of the reasons this is so hard is because demons don't retreat in Total War. Instead, they start losing their mortal form and get banished back into the realm of souls. Basically meaning they die if they lose morale. So there's only one thing you can do.
I'm rage quitting. I've had enough. Goodbye, stream.
Cheat and go yell at the Chaos God of Fate who put you in this horrible position in the first place. Game! Wait, hold on, I mean Zinch! So-called Chaos God, Architect of Fate, Lord of Entropy. Ha! Maybe if your schemes were a little cooler, but you're kind of a nerd. Seriously, using the undead? Why? I thought you were through demons with feathers, not undead. Why undead? Send me back 3 turns and let me show you how it's done. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen and other pox spreaders, I would like to welcome you, Stinkfest's very own timeline shift! The timeline has shifted. Timeline shift. Timeline, everyone wake up! Everyone wake up, timeline shift! Stinkfest can truly rot and fester. Stinkfest is back! You can start off by getting rid of this army and settlement to establish a foothold within the province. And then you can start running for Gorst, the horrible, dumb, stupid leader. At this point, you should have a cute little single target spell for Kugath called Rancid Visitations. That's great for taking out a single unit, like Gorst. If you harass him with Plague Groans and then give him Rancid Visitations once or twice, and then have Baby Kicking Kugath deal with him, Gorst will crumble, and so will his army. With a whole other army and a lot of loot by your side, you can start putting down different buildings and also get a second army. And that second army should just be a crap stack full of Nurglings, just to get more bodies on the field for the flesh grinders to come. Start moving towards the other 2 settlements that the undead own, and don't worry about that small army withering away in your land. Nothing will happen for you. Game. Game? Game. Game. Don't worry, we have tricks of our own and 2 armies to make Gorst fall fast and his lackeys. He won't be able to come back by the time his entire bloodline's completely obliterated now, taking out the Haunted Forest and the other settlement. At this point, Kuigash should have an outrageous number of Lord powers to his name, getting some Nurgling buffs and some other good stuff, but mainly worry about getting Nurglings stronger and stronger. And because they're in Kugash's army, they're basically free with upkeep costs, with all that cost going down low because of sweet, sweet passives. So make sure you get as many Nurglings as possible. but they all have all expense paid tickets to Stinkfest. Stinkfest! You can spam as many Nurglings as you want. If you're good at the game, you should have this done in like 15 turns. No items on Final Destination, Stinkfest only. At least that's the first 3 provinces done outside of the home one. You should have 2 armies of reasonable size, and I'd recommend that you buy the Frolicker's Bubonic, because they're hyperscaled Nurgling units that have regeneration in fights. Plus, the Stinkfest audience loves them. They hike up ratings like T-Swift does at a football game. And you can give the Nurgling unit you're replacing in Kugas' army to your smaller army, making it so nothing goes to waste. From here on out, Stinkfest becomes a choose-your-own-adventure book because of the choices you get of going 3 ways. You could fight the humans with the enormous jade giants and dragons and all their sorts of things to your east that can rip all your stinky boys apart. No thank you. To your west, you have the Chaos Dwarves, which single-handedly broke the game when they were first added with their outrageous amounts of defense, leadership, and damage. These things outdo the stinkiest of Stinkfest goers. So the only real way to do it would probably be to eradicate these guys through overwhelming manpower, because Nurgle already has a lot of issues against normal dwarves as is. So picking a fight with dwarves, but evil, and also intrinsically better, is not a good idea by any means. So I'd recommend that you go with the option of going north, through the Ogre Kingdoms and Grease's Goldtooth. Mobilize Stinkfest upwards and take settlements fast, because Goldtooth is probably more worried about expanding northwards himself. Just make sure that you can get rid of Goldtooth and his armies once they eventually do come down, and they will come down in a pack. So keep your 2 armies close together and near a settlement. When you do fight Mr. Goldtooth himself, make sure that Kugath uses Rancid Visitations and gets in melee combat with him with other units around him. All to make Greasus break and quite possibly die because he's kinda slow. Just watch out, because your Nurgling population is going to be decimated. But that's why we took the replenishment option in the research. But you can take this North Province lickety-split, and after Greasus reconstitutes as if he were a demon himself, and deflecting some ogre armies, you can sign a pity peace treaty for some gold, and not have any wars being waged against you. Stinkfest now takes over a total of 4 provinces, with buildings making Nurglings, Chaos Warriors, and also working towards a Soul Grinder. While events allowed us to get more units that we needed while we're building towards that Soul Grinder. Man, I feel really good about this, Kugath. How do you feel about this? How are you feeling? I haven't talked to you all this time.
I feel very good about this, actually. Like I'm having a lot of fun. Thank you for inviting me to Stinkfest.
No problem, Koo. Can I call you Koo?
Yes, sure. Cool works fine. Can you do me a solid? Last Stinkfest, some dwarves ruined it. Made it look like the end of a Mr. Clean commercial.
Yeah, dude. Let's go get him back.
I appreciate that. I've been wanting to do this forever.
No problem. You sure you got this, Koo?
You know what you mortals say. You only live once.
Alright, man. You go get him. Iron Drakes, Pistolers, Quarrelers, and Blasting Charges. On top of other units that can fight our units to a standstill, this battle is going to be hard fought. At least things that are deathly, like reinforcements with slayers in them and artillery, won't run through our dearest Nurglings, though. Oh wait, this is a lore battle, of course they're going to do that. Ranged units are also really good at targeting Kugath, and this is because of his ample surface area, and they really hurt him. We'll have to use Kugath to hard carry this fight, where he goes for the enemy lord, and then has to deal with some of the side stuff like the artillery. But through this entire battle, Kugath is going to look like he's the cheese that gives the cheese touch, moldy and full of holes. If you have regeneration, make sure to pump Kugath with it so he doesn't die. And if you do it, maybe, just maybe, with a little bit of luck, you'll win! You'll actually do it! Kugath, we did it! You did it! We withstood the Warhammer Horde! Against all odds, you did it! You did it! What should we do next? I just got necrotic missiles, and my face hurts. Stinkfest over.